For a long time, the world of MOBAs was focused primarily on gameplay over story, with only just enough narrative tidbits and character descriptions in place to hold things together and provide a reason for the action. However, as the genre has grown, fans have developed powerful attachments to these characters and crave to know more about them. Riot took notice of this and expanded League of Legends to other media in order to deliver on the promise of its world building with music videos, comics, and the studio's award-winning animated collaboration with Netflix, Arcane. However, it wasn't the only MOBA looking to branch out. In fact, it wasn't even the only MOBA that struck a deal with Netflix. Behind the scenes and in secret, Valve was working with Netflix on an animated series of its own, one that would explore the world and expand the lore of one of the original MOBAs, one that is largely credited with establishing and popularizing the genre. This is the story of how Dota, Dragon's Blood, was created. Even prior to the massive success of Arcane, Netflix had made huge investments in video game-themed series. An animated series based on Castlevania began in 2017, with the extremely capable comic book writer Warren Ellis at the helm. The original run went on for 4 seasons, and the spin-off series, Castlevania Nocturne, is currently 2 seasons deep. In the midst of Castlevania's success, Netflix ventured into live-action territory with the Witcher series, which debuted in 2019 and is still going strong. But that's not all fans of the Witcher franchise have been treated to. Netflix also expanded the universe with 2 animated films. The first, Nightmare of the Wolf, dropped in 2021, followed by Siren of the Deep in 2025. Both animations were crafted by the talented team at Studio Mir. And hey, you'll want to keep that name in mind because, trust me, it's going to play a big role later in this story. Even smaller IPs were given the Netflix series treatment, with titles like Dragon's Dogma, Cyberpunk, Dragon Age Absolution, and Devil May Cry, just to name a few. For each of these properties, cinematic retellings and adaptations made sense. They all had well-defined stories that Netflix could use to produce content that appealed to their established fan bases as well as existing and potential subscribers. And speaking of subscribers, did you know that less than 5% of you watching are actually subscribed? Crazy, right? If you're enjoying the video so far, hit that subscribe button. It's free. It helps the channel grow stronger and ensures you don't miss out on epic lore and stories like this. Now, let's get back to the video. Details regarding the exact origins of Dota, Dragon's Blood are fairly light, outside of production beginning sometime before 2019. Somehow, the series' existence managed to stay completely secret all the way up to its announcement. That information might give the impression that the people in charge were running a tight ship on this production, but tales from the creators and cast paint a different picture. In several interviews prior to the release of Season 1, series creator and executive producer Ashley Miller mentioned something interesting that gives a clearer impression of what this production was really like. By the time he got involved with the project, it had already been in development for 6 months. In an interview with Wiretap Blog, Ashley stated that he was dropped into it, the project, while the train was moving. Valve and Netflix had long confirmed the project. There were even concept art and character designs to showcase what their interpretation of the Dota universe would look like. A preliminary concept for the series story was also in place before Miller's involvement. However, while alliances had been forged and the animation studio responsible for The Legend of Korra, X-Man 97 and Netflix's own 2016 Voltron reboot series was on board, there was technically no show yet. Just a bunch of different pieces that vaguely resembled one of the most popular games in the world. At this point, the project still needed a showrunner. Dragon's Blood didn't have the benefit of being developed internally by in-house writers like Riot handled Arcane, so they needed someone to step in and make all those pieces fit together and make sense. This is where Ashley Miller stepped in. He was excited to work on such a high-profile adaptation of a beloved IP, but he ran into a few issues. He had never developed an animated series before, and had no idea where to begin or how to make it happen. Also, he was only vaguely familiar with Dota. While he has described himself as an insane World of Warcraft player, he had never played the game he was hired to bring to the small screen. However, it's not like Miller was unqualified or lacking experience. He began his career as a writer for TV series, contributing to shows like Andromeda, Terminator, and Fringe. He is also credited as a writer on 2 Marvel films, Thor and X-Men First Class. Clearly, he was very familiar with live-action productions, but those are a very different ballgame from animation. Miller has gone on the record several times to talk about how little he knew about developing animation prior to working on Dota Dragon's Blood. And when asked about how he first got involved with the project, this was Miller's answer.
Step 1, lose a bet. Step 2, go to the bar.
Joking aside, there was quite a lot of learning on the job happening. Valve and Netflix were apparently not that attached to what they had already in terms of narrative when Miller stepped in, so they essentially gave him free rein to change and restructure the entire thing however he liked. This allowed him to frame the story in a way that made sense to him, and according to Miller, the final product is very different from what he was given to work with initially. As many fans will notice, the final product also takes many creative liberties with established Dota lore. This is partly because he had never played Dota, but it also had to do with his approach to writing the story. Miller had to take the brief character descriptions and bullet point lore facts and tie them all together into something cohesive, which he set out to do in a way that appealed to both fans and viewers who knew nothing about Dota. That mission would have been a tall order for any showrunner not directly connected to the original product being adapted, but Dragon's Blood really began to come together when Miller assembled the rest of the production roles. Stephen Melching was called in as the supervising producer. His experience working on dozens of animated series since the mid-90s, including major ones like X-Men, the 2006 reboot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and all of the Star Wars animated shows since the Clone Wars in 2008, gave Miller an invaluable resource for producing animation. Meredith Lane, a casting director with more than 15 years of experience in the business, stepped in to find Dragon's Blood its cast, considering the fact that she was also serving in the same role on other Netflix animated series, including Castlevania and Arcane. It's no surprise that the quality of the show's voice cast is immense. With her vast connections, Meredith was able to sign on top-tier voice talent for the series, including recognizable names like the always incredible Yuri Lowenthal, Troy Baker, Tony Todd, Doug Bradley, and many more. Combined with Studio Mir's signature animation style, the Dragon's Blood voice cast was able to breathe life into the Dota universe in an entirely new way. But again, all of this work was being done in secret. Dragon's Blood was in production for years before its announcement, and it underwent considerable changes during that time. For instance, Miller wrote the first season with the understanding that each episode would be 30 minutes long. After writing was completed and the team was deep into the animatic stage of production, the step before the final animation is produced, the length of the episodes was cut down to 25 minutes for what Miller has called esoteric production reasons. What those reasons are have obviously not been made public. Now, cutting 5 minutes out of an episode might not seem like much, but it adds up over the course of the season. When it was all said and done, 40 minutes of the show was left on the cutting room floor. 40 minutes that could have provided more story and given us more time to spend with these characters. Despite whatever troubles the production had, the project was ultimately completed. It debuted to mostly strong reviews, with many highlighting the incredible voice acting talent and overall animation quality. However, some critics docked it for its pacing and sometimes confusing story, both things that can be attributed to the time cut out of episodes. Netflix isn't known for releasing viewership numbers, but Dragon's Blood began appearing in Netflix's top 10 lists all over the world, and the viewership tracking app TV Time rated it at the top of its Shows on the Rise list for the week of March 28th. The show was making a splash despite the serious lack of marketing. During Dota 2's annual championship competition, the International 2021, a trailer for Book 2 was shown which included a release date of January 2022. Marcy, a new character created for Dragon's Blood, was also revealed as a playable character coming to Dota 2. Book 2 continued the story of Dragon's Blood and brought in even more characters from the source material as well as a few new ones when it premiered on Netflix on January 18th, 2022. Dragon's Blood was renewed for a third season on June 11th, 2022, introducing multiversal time travel to the story in a move that created more confusing narrative according to some viewers. However, given how the story plays out for some of the major characters in Book 3, that angle does make a continuation possible, despite the events of the last few episodes. For now, it seems that the story of Dota, Dragon's Blood, has concluded, giving us 24 episodes of action, adventure, and lore spinning that brought people closer to the Dota franchise, whether they were already fans of it or not. However, we at Beyond the Nexus are always on the lookout for media that expands the MOBA universes we love, so make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And while you're here, let us know in the comments what you thought about Dragon's Blood, and where you would like the series to go if it continues. Oh, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into Dragon's Blood, we think you'll love our video on Arcane. Trust us, there's plenty of crossover magic to explore there too. See you in the next one.